Hi everyone, and welcome to round 6 of the online British Championships. And today on top board we've got Grandmaster Mickey Adams against Grandmaster Bogdan Lalic. I'm going to just turn off this other machine.
Two Natashas.
Yeah. You can't have too many Natashas, of course. So let's see who else we've got. Do you want to?
Yeah, I've got it up there. So if you just share the screen.
Excellent. If I put that on. Okay, who do we have?
So yeah, Michael Adams against Bogdan Lalic from top board. So another tough pairing. Mickey will be glad to have white against Bogdan, I think, because Bogdan as black is always a tough nut to crack. But with when you've got white against him, it's a better shot. Keith has got white against the young junior Yichin Han. The young junior, yeah, he's a junior, so he's young, of course. Yichin Han, who's been playing very well, all sorts of events, doing very well all over the place. So very interesting. Then we've got Gerasimos Giakos against Diamonaut Mohammed Ayan Ismail. Jonathan Payne, I am Malcolm Payne's son, is playing black against Nutflash Paul Dargan. We've got Welsh online champion Jonathan Blackburn against Robert Starley. Robert Starley, he is...
Ferrari fan.
Ferrari fan, that's right. I knew it was one that we see all the time. Then Drunkenite, Chris Duncan against Phil Brooks. Grandmaster Mark Hebden, after that thrilling draw yesterday against Aryan Kalani, has black against another promising junior, Edison Sue. Checkmate a lot, Peter Finn, playing Frederick Gordon, Frederick the mate. Then we've got Arjun Kalani against Vera Schlock. That's a junior matchup, isn't it? I think. Natasha?
Oh yes, Schlock Verma. Yes, indeed.
Schlock Verma. Sorry. I'm getting that wrong. Theo Cowrie against Amir Abbas, who we've seen a lot of interesting games.
You know, the one I've just realised I've been getting wrong for like a year or more is I've always said Pal Rowan, but John and Chris this morning were saying Rowan Pal, which I think is correct. So I do apologise to Rowan. That I've got that wrong.
Then we've got Adam Sikowski against Chavez Ali, Jonathan Mackay, whose dad was in chat a couple of days ago, against Raina Jitendra, Tashika Aurora, Chess Queen 960 against Lawrence Spencer. Spencer Lawrence, yes. Sorry.
It's easy to do, isn't it, to get it around?
George Gazis against Stephen Willison, Olga Latipova against Yongyu Wang, and Prachi Aurora gets.
Hi, here's Dad.
Hey, hello.
Oh, Peter and Fred have played each other hundreds of times. This is a needle match. Then this is going to be exciting.
It's no, fantastic. It's a good.
And have you got any insight onto who usually wins when Peter and Frederick play?
That's a good point, actually. It's going to be a good matchup today, I think. I'm quite. Hey, Conrado, how are things? I'm quite looking forward to the top two boards. That's going to be a nice matchup there. Mickey against Bogdan and Keith against Yichin Han.
Now you mention it, board 2 is very tough to call. Who will win that?
Yeah, no, so it depends.
I'm going to predict a draw.
Yeah, it depends on the opening a little bit. I think it's if Keith gets his system, then I think he's going to.
Oh, he's really tough when he gets his system, isn't he? Yeah, that's true. Keith with white.
Hey, Neil. But yeah, if Yichin manages to sow some confusion, he's fast, he's tactical, he's dangerous.
Yeah.
So it's now we're going to see. I mean, Keith had a great game earlier against Frederick the Mate, wasn't it?
That was
game. Beautiful.
Was that yesterday? I've lost track of time now. Maybe it was the day before.
2 days ago. Yesterday, Keith played Mickey, but yeah,
that's right. Yes.
Whoa, Mickey playing the London system.
Oh no! They were all doing it.
36-27. Okay, on lead chess. So okay, Bishop F4. That's very surprising.
In the lead. That's interesting. Yeah.
I haven't seen Mickey playing the London system very much. Or at all. I mean, I haven't kept up with Mickey's games recently, I have to say, but still, no, London system. I don't think I've ever seen him play that. Or Bogdan playing a very solid system there, not going for any adventures.
Bogdan had a little thing, just a little thing there that suggests that it wasn't what he thought he was going to play.
That's right. That's right. But I think Bogdan's played this system before, this E6 system. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, it was, it was quite dangerous at some stage, playing the E6 system with black. I mean, Magnus Carlsen in particular was causing a lot of damage with that. But it's always the same with these openings. They get worked out. People are less surprised. And then, you smooth off all the edges. Hey, Ocelot.
Hi, Ocelot.
So let's have a quick look then. So I think Bogdan's thinking again here, just working out his move orders, I think. So Keith Arkle against Peshka the Great. Well, Peshka the Great.
Neil's next opponent. Neil's next opponent, Neil might be playing the London system. Just look out for that.
Oh, okay. So Peshka offered a semi-Slav, but Keith played his old c takes d5 and queen c2, so we're in for Carlsbad.
Could White have taken back with the c pawn, just to avoid Keith's system?
Back to me, yeah, but then it's quite a good exchange Slav for black. There's no, I mean, in principle, there's no reason. There's no reason to avoid this. I mean, you've got to just play it really.
Take it on, yeah.
This is the system. You've got to play it. I mean, I did. I think the probably one of the most impressive things I saw was. When Keith played in the 4NCL,
hey,
Wilsonia. When Keith played in the 4NCL against
Pezza.
Hey, Pezza.
You can tell your story about the 4NCL now.
At the 4NCL, he played against the young Dutch Grandmaster, against the young Dutch Grandmaster Robin van Kampen, and Robin just took him on in the Carlsbad structure and outplayed him beautifully. It was a very impressive game. And I think that's one of the rare losses that I've seen.
I have seen Keith lose in this, but it's not often. And like he's got so many wins, but when he loses, it's a big kingside attack, isn't it? Normally.
Yeah, this was just a big positional grind actually from Robin. It was that was very impressive. It was one of those Cheddleton against Guildford matches.
I did see. I can't remember who it was against. A kingside attack.
London system gets a bit of a bad rap. Well, it's a bit boring, isn't it? Really, Neil. That's the problem. It's not these exciting main lines. It's just trying to get an edge through sneaky means. So, but no, it's a very very decent opening. Of course, it's absolutely fine. But just I suppose it's always black players start resenting it after a while. All that hard work on d4, d5, or d4, knight f6, all those lovely c4 lines, and then white players just play bishop f4. So, and probably actually, that was probably part of the idea of Mickey, that Bogdan may have prepared Catalans or Mickey's normal e4 system, and now Mickey's just confusing slightly and getting Bogdan out of what he's been preparing. And just going to try and play a normal game, So, which is also what Keith's doing here. Oh, he's played. Keith's taking very early on f6 all the time now to drag the bishop out to f6. So we're going to see. We're going to see how well Yitin has prepared for this, because obviously, if you prepare well for this, then it shouldn't be. You should be able to equalize and all that. But if you get it a bit. You haven't really been paying attention to what Keith does, then you can easily start getting a bit confused somehow. So will be interesting to see there. Let's have a look at Gerasimos Giakos against Diamonaut. Diamonaut has played a little oddly. I'll show you what I mean. So this is, the bishop b5 Sicilian. I played this quite a bit with white. Bishop g7 h3. But now
you better say you're still here.
Sorry?
You better say you're still here.
Oh, good Lord! Sorry, that's behind my.
It looks you out.
Behind my screen there. I mean, I play this with white an awful lot. The normal thing, though, is that in these positions, black normally tries to put his knight on f6, and then it goes round d7, f8, e6, and then aims at those f4 and d4 squares. So there's quite a lot of maneuvering there. Putting the knight directly on e7, it doesn't have that much scope on e7. So that's generally felt to be not such a strong alternative. White here playing very directly, going for bishop h6. And I'm guessing that, well, I mean, white can do two things. White can castle queenside or castle kingside. And then the knight's going to move from h2, and then you're going to go for f4. That's one plan. Probably after exchanging the bishops. You could also go, a plan that I played a lot in Blitz, but I don't imagine that it's a particularly good one, is to go g4, knight h4, and then play for knight f5. But it is quite dangerous, certainly in Blitz, as a sort of a piece sacrifice. So we're going to see what happens in that game. Ooh, white nut flush against Jonathan Payne. e4, g6, knight c3, bishop g7, d4, c5. I believe in this position that d takes c5 is extremely strong for white. That really is, yeah, this is actually not a very good move order, but I don't think white players know it particularly well. So, I mean, d5 takes you into a Schmid Benoni, which is a definite slight stable edge for white. Knight f3 is actually a little bit of a concession here, because now black's going to get into an accelerated dragon, so which is kind of more than he deserves, you know, with the move order. I suppose that's the thing. The only point is, I guess, if Paul Dargan Nutflush has prepared the accelerated dragon anyway against Jonathan, then yeah, then it makes quite a bit of sense to play it. But otherwise, yeah, you sort of haven't made the most.
Normally the C3 Sicilian, isn't he? Because his username's B22 C3.
Yeah, I was gonna. That's a very good point, actually, because his username on Twitch is B22 C3 Sicilian. So I wouldn't have thought he plays too many open Sicilian.
I don't think this is his normal.
No, so I think he might have got tricked here. Actually, I think he might have got tricked. So
he certainly spent more time than Johnny.
Yeah, because normally, actually, C3 Sicilian players against this sort of thing, normally after G6 they do something, you know, maybe like D4, and then they go knight F3, and then they can play C3 systems as well. Yeah. So slightly surprising what because even here, I mean, black could have gone C5, and then Paul wouldn't have been in a C3 Sicilian. So
I mean, Johnny Payne plays a Sicilian, doesn't he? So Paul can't
well,
be surprised,
I think
Johnny Hello, well fan.
Hello, well fan. I think I think Johnny Payne's he's not really a theoretical guy. I don't think he knows any theory at all. You know, he's just playing pretty much anything and just going for it. You know, I think that's so. Yeah, I think he. I mean, we saw him earlier playing playing some sort of strange Scandinavian, I think, you know, that sort of thing. So
he played the Budapest the other day.
He played the Budapest as well.
Really nice game, actually.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing a lot of strange things, really. So you know, I think, and I'm assuming that, you know, he's not a professional, so I think he's just, you know, kind of winging it an awful lot. But he's a very good tactical player, quite dangerous, very dangerous. So
White knight squared bishop. Where do we put that? Asks Ocelot.
In this position, normally goes to c4. In actual fact, hey, let me think.
Hi, let me think. We're gonna follow Peter and Freddie. We're gonna follow that game.
Yeah. So let's move down.
What about the bishop, though?
I said c4. C4. I said.
Yeah, I think so.
Normally goes to c4. Let's have a look. Drunken knight against so d4, e6. Knight f3, d5, g3, knight d7. Yeah, so b5. Okay. Trying to get a similar system. It's similar to what Harry Grieve did against Michael Adams earlier in the. Again, you're trying to, you know, white's trying to delay the c4 in a Catalan in order to cut down your options. Yeah, black is trying to exploit that by playing b5 to clamp down on c4. But Chris played c4 very rapidly, and now Phil is thinking. Yeah, I mean, I would take on c3. I mean, basically, I think.
Would you?
Kind of, well,
I was just thinking about taking on c4.
Oh, but that's really, I mean, then you
Is
wouldn't
that really
have gone,
risky?
you never would. I mean, knight e5 to start with. You just wouldn't have. You just wouldn't have. You'd never played b5
Yeah.
So, I mean,
take on c3.
I would probably just take on c3 here, and after knight c3, then white's no longer got c4, pressure against the pawn. So, yeah, it's decent. It's decent. It's yeah, Joël Loutier played a lot of these in the beginning, and just to avoid that, and I was never really so happy with them. I was never really keen on playing these b5s, but it's not. Yeah, it's a decent idea. Oh, we've got a Barry. We've got a Barry. Mark. So this is Edison. Oh, no, God, with Mark as black. My goodness me. Wow. Sorry, I was assuming Mark was white here, but no, it's... so knight f6, bishop f4.
So Edison's doing your trick. You say play the opening your opponent plays.
Indeed. So bishop f4, a London system, which Mark once referred to as the lazy trompe, because you just can't be asked to put the bishop over to g5. So I just can't get out of my head nowadays. So g6, knight c3. This is exactly what Mark has done for most of his life, I think. Queen d2, bishop g7, bishop h6. So a very quick exchange of the dark square bishops there. And then it's always the question: do you let white take on g7, or do you play bishop h6 and drag the queen out of play? Not silly, both have got something going for them. If you drag the queen out, you can't castle, and the queen might come into g7, but it's not providing support to the center and the queen side. So that gives you some chances to counterattack, and that's pretty much what Mark's doing. Knight c6 castles, bishop f5, f3, queen a5. A little bit surprised that Mark's tempting out f3 and g4, because I would have thought maybe that white would do that anyway, to be honest. But I mean, he's the guy who knows these systems, so he must have some idea here. Bishop d7, king b1, castles, bishop b5 from white. White playing very fast here. I mean, this might well still be theory, I think. Knight b4, and then bishop d7 check.
So...
yeah, I mean, I would have thought, to be honest, that white's got a bit of an edge here, really. Knight d7, but I think what Mark's doing, this is quite cunning. The knight's coming round to b6 to c4. That's the idea. So that if I go a move like a3, he'll come back, and then having had that weakness, he's going to play knight b6 to c4 and target them. So that's a pretty good idea. So white probably needs to find something sort of good and accurate here. I would say that probably I would think about doing a move like this with knight c1. Just putting the if black's going to attack like that, I'll put my knight out to b3 and cover it like that, and then afterwards bring my rook in the center, and and life goes on, really.
Looks like black's been better able to focus his pieces on the queen's side. Indeed.
But I think white doesn't have any real weaknesses there. A couple of knights covering, it's probably not that much, and then white's got a bit of a space advantage on the in the center and king side. So yeah, I mean, pretty tight game, I think. So okay, Frederick the Mate against Ocelot. Let's have a look at that one. So e4, e6,
yes,
checkmate a lot. Sorry, knight d4. So yeah, this is quite interesting. We saw, I think we saw Freddie playing the system before, and in that game, black went knight f6. Here, just playing a sharp line, actually, a sort of a pawn sacrifice, a temporary one anyway. So c3, knight f6, e5, knight fd7, and then taking on d4. But here, white can take on, black can take on e5. And the idea is knight takes c5, there's queen takes d4. Looks a little risky for black, but seems to be okay. So yeah, this is
Let me think. We've heard in the chat that Freddie has a bit of a lead against Checkmate a lot. So what is it? 36-27. So is Peter? Do you think he's a bit nervous for this pairing?
So bishop b5 check, knight ec6, a little bit uncomfortable for black, but white also needs to do something with his knight, and quite amusingly, we just end up in some sort of IQP position where, you know, white's knight has gone knight b1 c3, e2 d4, e2 c3, and black's c6 knight has gone knight b8 d7 e5 c6, and this knight has gone knight b8 d7 f6. So everyone swapped around, and I'm not who has actually gained tempi. I think we've probably come out around even, or maybe even black has gained a little bit, I think. So in principle, I think yeah, black's looking sort of fine. It's IQP position, but black's got the d5 square reasonably under control here. So I'm just going to check. Just let me check the tempi, because rook e1, so a3, castles, rook e1. Yeah, no, black's doing quite nicely with the tempi. I mean, you can even consider playing b4 in this position. So so in general, black's I think black's opening has been probably a bit more. The tempi have been confusing, but I think black's come out with a tempi extra than he normally would have. That's my that's my feeling. So
so that's been quite, the opening's been quite a success then for Peter.
Yes, I'd say that. So let's have a little look. Tactic Monster, Ian Kolani. So got a French here. I would have thought this would suit Ian quite well, because he's a good positional player. Yeah, this is actually a line that I've played a lot as black. Bishop e2, queen b6. Now and then this move, knight d1. A very typical maneuver. Actually had a game against Alexei Shirov as black, where this maneuver was played. Slightly different position, but this maneuver was played.
Was that for NCL?
Yeah, for NCL. And then, which I managed to draw, which was good for Guildford. So c3 is the idea. You move the knight back to d1. The pawn comes to c3, and then afterwards you can even consider, you know, pawn sacks like f5, bishop f4, knight e3. It's all quite dangerous. So it's quite a natural move from black to just to swap off on d4, and just yeah, I suppose prevent white from you know, setting up a huge pawn center. And yeah, I mean, also you normally have a knight on d4. When the knight's gone to d1, it's quite a way away from there. But now black plays maybe a slightly strange move. Bishop takes d4, because it does give white pretty much what he wants. Castles knight e3, bishop b7. Yeah, now white's got to find a plan. I mean, there's many possibilities. You probably wouldn't castle queenside here. Although it isn't stupid by any means, but I suppose, you know, black's already gone a little bit of the way on the queen side, so it seems a bit odd to you know, to castle queen side and then, you know, allow him to justify playing moves like a6 and b5. Castling king side feels like a more a cleverer way to do things, put it that way. And yeah, there should be a slight edge. I mean, you can play moves like f5, but probably to do it immediately is a little bit on the risky side. So yeah, I'd probably expect white to go castles with yeah, a typical French edge. It's not easy for black to create counterplay. Black might have to go f6, but if you do that, then obviously you're weakening your own pawn chain as well. So it's one of those things, you know. It's just you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If you don't go for counterplay, you might get squashed, and if you do go for counterplay, you might get sort of you might just create extra weaknesses which can be exploited. But I'd expect something like castles f6, and then off we go.
By the way, these players are not just playing in this championship. So we've been watching them play every evening at 7 o'clock. But for example, the white player here, Ian Kolani, is in the lead at the moment in the under 14s, I think, or under 14s. I got that right. Under 14 rapid he won. Now, anyway, he's played this morning. Schlock has also played this morning. So Schlock is was playing on board 1 this morning, but lost unfortunately to Demis Dupuis, who's another player that we've been following. So yeah, these players are playing at like 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. and who knows if they're playing some in between as well, because as soon as they finish, they're off there playing the bullet games as well, we found out from the commentary.
Yeah, no, yeah, Theo's been playing 2 standard games per day for the last 10 days. Wow, that is quite a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of chess.
It's a lot of chess, yeah.
Because of course, there's also prep that they do as well, so they know which opponent they're playing, and so Theo will have done his 2 standard games plus prep for 2 standard games.
Yeah, and there's a tension as well. There's a tension as well that you mustn't forget, because, for example, in the junior championships, and you're also playing to win it as well. It's not just you can say, oh, if you're playing a GM, there's not as much pressure, but yeah, there's loads of pressure if you're playing the junior events as well. So yeah, no, pretty tough, but that's the English way. It's we get
love
tough,
their chess, these kids.
We get tough by playing lots like that. It's so now it's Whimsical Jam against Ame Abbas. Yeah, interesting opening here. Oh, let's just have a look. It was it was an old Petrojan system here, so slightly strange transposition, but went it through looked like it was going to be a perk. Then it became a modern, and then it became a Petrojan system, a King's Indian, which is yeah, a pretty decent choice. It's a good solid system there. So castles A5. H3, maybe. Yeah, I think always in these positions, you've got to watch out for black playing knight C5. Because I always think that these, when you go Queen C2, I always find that a little bit of a concession somehow, playing Queen C2 to defend the E4 pawn. So I would have thought, I think knight C5 is quite decent for black in this way. What you'd really like to do is to have the bishop on E3 already to be able to get this structure, which is ideal against the King's Indian. Well, what happened was quite so H3 B6 was again B6, slightly odd move, really. It doesn't need to be played immediately, and so white plays bishop E3. Knight E8 and knight D2, and now we've got this ideal structure where the knight is well, white's going to play A3 B4 and C5. That's supported by the bishop, and when you go C5, this knight comes out to C4 and pressures the queen side. The only thing is now that after F5 you go F3. So ideally you wouldn't have gone H3 straight away with that, because it gives black maybe some extra opportunities to exploit it. I mean, you do go H3 very often later on, because if black goes G5 and H5, then you play H3 to help stop G4. But since black hasn't played H5 or G5 yet, having the move H3, and black could consider, for example, going knight F6 and then knight H5 to G3, which is a tad annoying, or playing a move like bishop F6 to H4, and then maybe into G3, and get active that way. So it gives black a few extra possibilities. But in principle, this is a good setup against the King's Indian, and you're now ready to play A3 and B4 and start getting your own queenside play going. I mean, another idea that black can consider, white can consider rather, if black doesn't go F4, is to play G4 himself. And just gain space on the king side and sort of cramp black and give black less room for maneuver to advance on the king side. A little bit risky positionally, but not bad either. But normally you don't do it when the knight's on D2. Normally you do it when you've played the knight to D3. That sort of plan. So I'd more expect white just to stay now where he is and then go A3 B4 and get that queenside play moving. Okay, let's have a look at Spencer Lawrence against. Oh, that's strange. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's right. Spencer Lawrence against Tashika Aurora. Oh, this is the mark. We had this in the game. Hebden Kulani yesterday. So same opening. b3, and then black played c5, bishop b2, queen b6, and queen c1. So Mark played actually what Aryan did against Mark yesterday was to play c takes d4, knight d4, queen b6, which was quite irritating for white. Black plays queen b6 straight away here and queen c1. I suppose the slight difference is after cd now I could go bishop d4 and I'll hit the queen, you know, which Aryan avoided with his move order there. But knight fp7 played, still this irritating pin on here. Rook d1, knight c6, e3. The only problem is it's not too clear now how black goes any further, you know, because white's been under pressure but consolidated now, and now black doesn't have that much more pressure on d4. So when rook d8, knight a3 played, I would have, yeah, I mean, knight c3 would have been my idea, I think, to go knight d5 quickly maybe, but knight a3 played, knight f8. Black really aiming to put the big pressure on there. Knight b5, takes. Okay, takes with the, okay. I would have again expected maybe takes with the pawn, but maybe it's maybe with the knight on b5 here it's not so great. Knight b4, bishop g4. Yeah, I mean black's come very well out of the opening there. So white's got this weak c pawn. Yeah, black's pretty well developed really. So it's probably around even, or maybe a tiny edge for black. You know, maybe I'd maybe prefer slightly to be black, but yeah, just a very balanced game really. So plenty to play for there. Let's have a look. Ooh, this has gone interesting. Let's have a look. So we left it at e6, e3. This is Michael Adams against Bogdan Lalic, top game matchup. So you like Mickey's avatar, don't you, Natasha?
Yes, I think it's very nice. And what's Bogdan got? Is that a cat with Bogdan? They're very small. I can't quite see. He's got something with him. Oh, no, it's not a cat. But what is he doing on his avatar?
I think he's receiving a prize. I think he's receiving a prize. So he's probably got flowers in his,
that's what he's doing. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he's doing anything with a cat there.
It's not a cat, no.
No.
Yeah,
okay. Bishop d6, bishop g3. Yeah, I mean, in the early days of the London system, they always let black take on f4 here, but there have been a few discoveries about exploiting that. So white tends to go bishop g3 now, and the idea is that if you go bishop g3, I take with the h pawn, and then well, I've got some play here. I had this a very long time ago against in World Junior against World Junior under 14 in Puerto Rico in 1988, I believe, or 87 even. And I had this against the French player Renaud Illier, and yeah, he took. I got this sort of position, and I just felt very uncomfortable the whole game. It's actually one of those. It's a funny story, really, because. So I was worse all the game, and I adjourned the position in a rook ending a pawn down, and it was a bit difficult. I was desperately trying to find a board to analyze, and I couldn't find one, and then I found one, and then I got chased away by Palbenko, who said that he had games to analyze with his juniors, and they were much more important. So that was all going horribly wrong. And then my mum went to the toilet, and it emerged that the French players were analyzing the game in the women's toilet. So they'd got a little board set up, and they were in the women's toilet analyzing.
What, so, illegally?
No, not illegally. I mean, it was the adjournment.
It's the adjourn time. Yeah.
It was the adjourn time. So, well, my mum's not a chess player. I mean, really, I mean, she's not a chess player, but she saw the board, and she thought she came back to me. She saw the position. She came back to me. She said, "I think that I saw the rook on this square," and I said, "Well, it's possible, but it's not particularly good." But,
she should go back to the toilet to check.
Yeah, and then it turned out that they'd obviously they'd seen her, and then they'd moved the rook to a different square, but an unlikely one. So you know, as well as analysing the possibilities which I thought were the most dangerous, I analysed this move, and it turned out to be the one that Renaud played, and it wasn't a very good move, and I drew the game. So there we are.
That is amazing.
That
I
is
must have told
absolutely
you. I've told you definitely, but I've told my adjournment story about
Oh.
when I had a bishop and knight against Christina Jensen's pawn. It was an endgame, and we adjourned. So it was just clear I was going to have to mate with this bishop and knight against king. And our captain was Dave Norwood, and he said, "Are you telling me you're playing for England and you don't know how to mate with a bishop and knight against king?" And that's just not the sort of thing he says. So I was like, "Oh, hang on a minute." Like, first of all, I was going, "Oh, what? But hang on a minute, Dave. You don't know how to mate with bishop and knight against king." And of course he didn't. And there was Mike Hennigan as well. And so the three of us were sitting there trying to work it out. And of course, none of us could. And so Dave's like asking all the opposition teams. We asked Scandinavia. We asked Norwegian team, I think it was, or Dane. No, it can't be Danish because that was the opponent. But we asked the Russian team in the end, and they taught us how to make the W and make the cage and do all this stuff. And I practice it all up, and I can do it. Anyway, Dave thought that wasn't a very safe option, though. So he decided instead to take my opponent out to dinner. Charmed her and said, "Well, why bother playing this adjournment? That only means you're going to have to get up early in the morning, and Natasha knows how to do the checkmate." And she resigned without resumption. So that's good captaining for you, right?
Indeed. That's the sort of captain you need.
It is the sort of captain you need.
It's we got onto this. Remove 4 of the London
tale of adjournments.
Hell of a journey, really. Bogdan didn't take on G3.
So the juniors today are missing out on all this stuff. There's no more adjournments,
isn't it? Yeah, no, adjournments were crazy. That's really yeah. I never really enjoyed them, to be honest. I was quite happy with the move to longer sessions and all that, but some older players really like them, and of course there have been some incredible stories and feats of analysis in adjournments, over the years, especially in world championships and that sort of thing. So
I didn't like them that much, but I would say, as a female player, you always do get a stack of help with your adjournments. We always, just adjourn any old position, and you've got so many people volunteering to help. It's interesting because you're trying to remember because there's so many people doing all these different lines, you actually forget what the proper moves are.
Terrible. It's let's have a look. Bishop C4, C5. So Bogdan's going for a bit of a sort of exchange, and now he takes on G3. H takes G3 and plays E5. So I mean, basically, what Bogdan's trying to do.
Hi, James Pratt.
Hey, Wilson. Yeah, that's right. Got to support the women. Exactly. So knight DB5, knight C6, castles. Yeah. Now I don't know whether this is probably just one of my things, that I just don't I don't like it, but I really don't like in these sort of Queen's Gambit accepted positions, because this is basically it, where the C and D pawns get swapped off in the center. I really don't like this move, E5. Not unless it's a really great move and you're clearly getting an advantage, because it just weakens this D5 square, and it really gives White the opportunity to entrench himself on those light squares around this pawn. And it can very easily lead you into a position where you've just got no chance of counterplay whatsoever. So it's always something that I was very, very careful about. And indeed, I was always trying to force White to play E3 to E4 to get the same, exactly the opposite thing. That was one of the big things that I discovered, the amount of play you could get. So, yeah, I don't like Bogdan's plan at all. It could well be. I mean, if it's very concrete, and it could well be that it's just equalizing, but I have a bad feeling that you're just going to end up in a passive and an unpleasantly worse position. I mean, in principle, what is White going to do? White's, we're going to exchange off queens. We'll put the rooks on the C and D files. This bishop can get rerouted to here, like a bit like a Catalan bishop, and you're just suffering, basically with black. It's just very, very unpleasant, I think. So Yeah. Now the only thing that you know could soften that is if you've got a concrete way of playing, where you know you can play a6 and the knight maybe has to retreat to a bad square or something like that. You know, I mean, but that's very important. If you don't have that, then I just think you're unpleasantly worse with black. So yeah, it's going to be we're going to see what Bogdan's got up his sleeve. You know, what sort of concrete approach he's got, because and indeed Bogdan playing a move I was looking at just now, bishop g4, and the idea I suppose is that you know, f3 is quite natural from white, but then it weakens this pawn, so it might well give black some possibilities to do something interesting with queen b6 ideas. And I'm actually almost tempted to do that immediately, but I don't think it's going to work. I mean, I don't want to play the bishop to h5 because it's just going to get hidden by a wall of pawns there. I mean, I don't know whether. Yeah, I mean, I suppose you could consider playing a move like bishop e6. That's possible. Bad pawns, but you're claiming that white's pawns here aren't so great, and you're also getting some control of these squares. But yeah, I mean, that's maybe possible, but it's a hell of a decision to take. But actually, I'm not really sure otherwise. What is Bogdan going to do? I mean, another idea could be to play pawn here, which is you know, the idea would be FGAB, for example, and you know, these pawns are ruined basically, and then you're getting your piece back. But I'm not sure. I mean, you know, even before I get into the tactics of will it work at all, I'm not even sure that this position is all right for white, because you know, this diagonal is very, very strong here. So I imagine that Bogdan's probably going to play bishop e6 and just take the pawn weakness, and then just claim that this is really not so bad for white, for black. I don't know though. I don't know. I'm yeah, maybe it's okay. I just find it really yeah, I just find it a little bit passive for black, and I'm just worried that we're not really making the most of our chances. I mean, you know, something like this and queen d6 just looks a bit irritating to me. You know, if you go queen d6, I go knight d6, and then I double up with my rooks on the d file, and you're always just a little bit worse, really. You know, so yeah. But okay, I mean, it's how you want to approach it, really, you know. And Mickey's having a good think here. I mean, I'm not quite sure what other moves he could play, really, because I mean, if you go queen a4, whoops, if you go queen a4, then well, a6 is embarrassing, deeply embarrassing. So just winning a piece, of course. So after b5, so that's not really possible. And otherwise, where are you going to put this queen? It's really hard to say. You could consider bishop e2. That is possible, but it looks a little bit wimpy, really. You know, I think f3 is really the move you want to play. Yeah, I'm just wondering whether could I try this one. FG takes. The idea, of course, is king h1, queen h6 is a draw.
Okay.
So you've got to go rook f2, and then the question is, you know, do we have something interesting, which is not, you know, hardly guaranteed. I would say
it's quite a wall of pawns white's got there to hide behind.
Yeah, I mean, I was wondering about queen c5. Actually, that was the one.
So
but it's just pretty well. No, I mean, the idea, of course, is a6 there and b5. That's the idea, you know. And then you'll just you're going to have some sort of play. But I guess that white can just play something like bishop f1 or something, and you'll be fine, I think. Yeah, I mean, this is probably way too fanciful. It's the problem with having looking at things with engines all the time. You doubt, you know, that even when you're a piece up, you're doubting that you could even be better. I mean, there's some compensation here. It's not so. I mean, you know, I'm looking at something like here, there, knight d4. It's not easy to keep hold of this g4 pawn, but that would be that would be incredibly brilliant. I mean, for me, it's the sort of line I wouldn't play unless I'd analysed it at home, you know. So I would expect that after f3, Bogdan will probably play bishop e6, but and just take that that ending. But I mean, you could also play bishop d7, but it just looks a bit odd putting a bishop on here. Possible. I mean, you're getting this queen b6 hitting e3, so you know that's what you're claiming. But I mean, maybe I can just go queen e2 followed by rook d1, and again, I feel like I've got you know, a pleasant edge for white there. We'll see. I mean, I might be. I do sometimes overestimate these, so you know, we'll see how that goes. Oh, look at this one.
Keith's game's quite fun now. He's half an hour up on the clock.
Yeah, but isn't Keith just going to be a pawn up here in a double rook ending?
Yeah, I mean, I think he
at the very least, this is all gone. Let's have a look how it went, because it's gone very badly for Peshka. Takes castles, b4 from Keith. Yeah, this is Keith's move order now. He's as soon as you go bishop b7, he's not waiting for you to go knight bd7 and possibly take on f6 with a knight. He's going takes to draw your bishop away straight away from this diagonal, and after e3, bishop f5 takes. He's going b4 before even castling, so that black doesn't get the opportunity to reroute the bishop to e7 to prevent this. So this is his new move order, and it's working very well. And yeah, Peshka's just letting it all happen somehow. And in principle, this is fine for black. You know, it's the normal story, but you know, yeah. Ooh, this is very nice for Keith. F5 it's an ugly move that's been played. That's played a lot in these positions. But black's not going to get a kingside counter, a kingside attack now. He's just got far too few pieces, and this is just weakening the second rank. If these pawns drop, then the kings are exposed. This square on e5 is weak. It's I mean, really, read chess for life.
Yeah, Chess for Life, the Keith Arkle, or one of the Keith Arkle chapter on his system. It's all in there.
He's had this against Stephen Mannion already, you know, exactly this sort of thing, and and against Stuart Conquest as well. You know, it's just yeah, that's really quite yeah. From that point of view, this was not good. This was not good prep for.
It's not good prep, but I have to say that Peshka the Great is playing in the under-18 championships as well. Yeah, and he's equal in the lead on that, so he probably hasn't had quite so long to prep.
Exactly. No, I mean, but it's just yeah, it just you can see amazing, you know, just how difficult it can get for and
he might not even have Chess for Life, because remember, we target that at the old players, so he might consider himself too young to read that kind of literature.
Indeed, but I think that's the point, actually. I mean, that's probably one of Keith's superpowers as well, is that if you just look at Keith's games, you just sort of say, oh right, he plays this dull stuff. Okay, well, I'll go for that. That's easy. That'll just be a draw or something. And then you don't realize that Keith's playing this for the win. This is Keith's banker opening, you know, and I think that's yeah. I think but it's a very interesting, you know, it's a very interesting thing, really, that you know, it's that's what, you know, there's all sorts in the chess world, and not everyone plays for a win with super sharp openings, you know, and Keith doesn't, but and look at the clock times as well, 58:16. Keith is on to 29:50. So yeah, very nice. Yeah, bishop f6, Wilsonia. That's because this is Keith's refinement. Yeah, just to because I think Keith got annoyed or irritated with people after e3, going knight bd7, and then being able to take back like this. So he wanted to drag the bishop away first, and then get his b4, b5. And he would probably he'd probably play b4 straight away if he could, but probably bishop f5 is a bit irritating. So he wants to be able to do the exchange of bishops. And again, the exchange of bishops is supposed to be, you know, not at all ambitious for white, but yeah. The point is, you exchange off light square bishops. This pawn chain does not have a bishop to defend it. And as the great Mihai Suba once said, bad bishops defend good pawns. And just like the French bishop or the King's Indian bishop, you you need it. And yeah, Wilsonia, I mean, I know it's a shameless plug, but really, Chess for Life really has a huge section on Keith, and all of this is is explained actually.
It is actually, yeah, it is very good.
Yeah, it really
very
is.
clear about how to play this type of position.
So, but yeah, here after f takes c4. I was just wondering for a moment whether that's good, Wilson. It's a lovely.
Well done, Wilson. Yeah, you'll like it.
Still very proud of that one. So yeah, I don't think Keith is going to think too long. I think just rook d7, ef, rook d6, fe, rook e1, and I don't think that black's long for this world, really. I mean, we're just going to take that pawn. I mean, Keith's had these positions, one of the positions with this f pawn still on f5, so or even on f7. So I think after rook e2, it's not going to be much of a problem. I mean, too many weaknesses in the king's position, and yeah, you know, an extra pawn for white as well. So yeah, and Keith's done that, of course. So. Yeah,
we have a result already. Tashika Aurora has won.
Oh, good Lord! Let's have a look how that happened, because we, yeah, that's she was playing well actually with these very consequent and consistent play. You know, just all aiming for d4 in this diagonal. So white went here. Oh, yeah, this was a bit of a mistake here. Takes bishop b2. That's definitely quite pleasant for white, but I think that here white made a blunder here because played the move knight to a5.
You can just take it.
Yeah, which just gives a piece away. I think knight d4 was kind of the move you had to play. When black has a number of possibilities, I mean, e5 might prove to be surprisingly irritating, because you're threatening to follow up with e4 with a pin afterwards. But you could probably play something like knight b5 and queen d6, and well, you're still in there fighting, you know. But yeah, knight b5, knight a5 was played. Oops, knight a5 was played, queen a5, and yeah, black won. So well played, chess queen 960. Where are we? We were down to Diamond Naught. Diamond Naught has got a very ugly structure there. So Diamond Naught played very actively here with f5, which not really that usual. Definitely activating his knight, so that's a good sign. But on the other hand, we've got this very weak pawn on f3 here, and I think casting queenside is probably quite a good choice for white here, because yeah, I think that the main counterplay that you could imagine would be black, you know, on the king side here. So just put the king on the other side there, and yeah, focusing on the pawn. So yeah, the one thing you got to watch out for here is that, you know, knight d4 can come in, so that's gonna happen. But we just need to work out yeah, a good way to deal with this. And then yeah, the black kingside squares, the dark squares, are a little bit irritating here for black. So this is quite a pleasant position for white. Not you know, winning or anything like that. I've always found these. It's one of the things that experience teaches you. You know, you're always a little bit disappointed with the edge you get with white in these positions. But still, I think this is more pleasant to play for white than black at the moment. Nutflush against McCarthy Stone. What has happened here? So Nutflush not playing the b22 c3 Sicilian, but I think, yeah, knight b3 is a very cautious move there. This is an accelerated dragon, which means that oops, sorry, that the normal dragon approaches with bishop c4 are a lot more risky, because black hasn't played black can play d5 in one go. I've had terrific experiences in blitz with I think I lost twice to the same person in Holland in blitz with this, and both times I played bishop. I got this position, got tricked into this position, played bishop c4 to b3, and then got hit with something and thought, oh no, not again. So it's yeah. So black here plays it very, white plays it very cautiously with knight b3, stopping d5 and bishop b2. Black could consider a5 to tickle these knights, but plays another interesting line, bishop b7. So basically, it's this is actually, black's actually playing the white side of an English, of a g3 English, with a tempo down, but it doesn't really matter that much. So f4, rook c8, bishop f3, d6, queen e1. And now some sharpness comes in. Knight b4, hitting the pawn on c2, and after rook c1, d5. So very aggressive from Jonathan Payne. Although that's pretty much what we expect, isn't it? Really, from Jonathan, very sharp, active player. Hey, James, good to see you. So e5 played, knight e4. Okie dokie, knight takes. This one's hanging, but this one's hanging too. So nut flush takes it, and bishop c2. And what have we got here? So black's got the two bishops, but yeah, which is pretty good. I mean, it's this light square bishop could become a monster. What you could say, though, is that this bishop on g7 here is rather tied down by the pawns on f4 and e5. So it's not completely clear yet. I mean, I think long term, if you sort of said, you know, black swaps off the queens, gets himself organized, then, you know, you'd have a very nice two bishops versus bishop and knight position. But probably in the short term, it's not quite as easy as all that. Now, I suppose the first thing that you're thinking of is, could I play this move actually?
Right now we're looking at what, bishop d3.
Yeah. So, oh, wait a minute. Sorry, I don't want to go to live analysis there and swap around. So. Knight d4. Let's have a look at it there. I mean, we could always have an a5 throw in if we need to, although that would weaken the b6 pawn, so it's not completely clear. But I was wondering about bishop. There's a couple of things. Bishop e4. I was wondering whether we had knight e6. That was the just the thing that first attracted me to it, because fe queen e4. We've got this typical and horrific situation for the bishop, where it's completely locked in, it just can't get out. And then white plays g3 and h4, and the bishop never ever sees the light of day again. I always think about it as a Kasparov bishop, because Karpov did something to Gary like that in one of the Grunfelds in the World Championship match. But I do believe that we could have the move queen d3 here as a riposte, which is rather unpleasant, because obviously knight f8, there's queen e3 check, and rook takes c1. So knight e6 is not possible. So you could probably go bishop e4. The question being then, do we have something else that would be annoying? I'm not really sure, actually. Pardon me. Oh,
I suppose you could think about taking on c8 first.
You could definitely do that and go queen takes c7. And that looks pretty reasonable, really. Quite solid structure, this. And I mean, you got moves like, you know, queen a8 and stuff like this just to attack g2. But you go rook f2, you go h3, king h2. I think you're probably doing quite well there, actually, in all fairness. So that could well mean that after bishop d3, another thing. I mean, there we've got a couple of ideas. We've probably got knight c6, which is even stronger there. And then if queen d7, we go knight e7 and picking up material. So probably after knight d4, well, either we go bishop e4, and then we'll play Natasha's line here, which looks quite good for quite good. Although, could we go queen a6 in that position? Would that be irritating? Threatening a2, and if a3, I want to go queen d3. Not clear. I mean, you could go rook e1 there. And keep control for now. But it's not clear. I mean, bishop h6 to threaten bishop f4. Is that maybe a bit fanciful? Maybe rook c8. The only problem is you can't really leave the back rank at the moment. So that's a little bit annoying. But okay. I mean, you could maybe play a move like h5, which wouldn't be stupid. I was actually wondering about g5, but that's probably completely bananas. I wanted to do this, basically. and get rook over to g6. But that's completely bananas. Don't do this at home. Probably this is just an edge for white. Just if white can probably consolidate somehow and get rid of the black queen. But again, you sort of feel that black's probably got sort of he's on the way to having decent compensation there. Yeah, the other idea would be to play a5, just hitting the queen, and then well, I guess I could just go bishop at queen a3. Actually, probably won't be that different. Hitting that one again, you go to e4. I chop a rooney, queen a7, queen e7, and well, I mean, probably you're going to do the same, aren't you? Queen here. I could always go queen a3, but that's a bit ugly. A3 and then queen d3 again, or rook c8. Yeah, they're not easy, these positions. I mean, these are not the sort of positions. Certainly, these are the types of positions I never really enjoy. If I'm playing a player that I want to beat, just in a weekend tournament or something like that. It's because yeah, you're missing control over certain squares, so it's very hard to pin black down. Really, it takes a lot of patience to win games like that, and there's always danger. I mean, bishop f8 to c5 could be coming in. Very easy to make miscalculations as well. So yeah, probably black's not doing so badly, I would have thought. But rook f2 played. Interesting.
Looks like Hebs has a good attack going.
Oh, let's have a look at that. Oh, yeah, that does look. But he sacrificed a piece for it, so it hasn't come free.
Okay. So how good is it? Is the question.
I'm not. I'm not glowing with enthusiasm at the moment, but yeah, because what threats does have? I'm not really sure what the threat is really. I think the threat. The only threat I can really think of for black at the moment is quite slow. That's the reason.
A3 sort of thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, just say white does stupid moves. A2, and then this one when I go A1 takes, knight C2 check. That's the sort of thing that occurs to me about what could black's threats be. I suppose after A3 you might have some sort of ideas to a knight somewhere and then a queen check into B2, but that's basically it. So white does actually have a number of tempi here to deal with this. So the question is really
sometimes you could. Oh, well, you can't even put your knight back to defend because your knight on c3 will be on priest.
No, I mean, you can't play. I mean, for the moment, this is the best that white's got. I mean, if I was looking for moves for white here, probably the first one I'd be thinking of. Well, I guess rook d1 is one major one. That's and another one would be e6. When I'm going to start getting, if you take on e6. I start getting some checks and stuff, and if you don't take on e6, then this is going to be a very dangerous pawn. So, but it is quite. It's pretty sharp. I mean, it's again. It's not that I'm not really thinking. Oh, yeah, that's really really good for black, but it is quite dangerous. It's slow, the attack, but it's when it arrives, it's not without venom. So let's have a look. Venom. Have you seen that film?
I have, yes.
Venom. So I did quite enjoy that film actually. It's there's a Venom 2 coming out as well actually. So
wasn't it out ages ago? Venom 2. No, Venom 2. Am I getting confused? I thought the Venom 2 has already happened. I think I've even seen it, or I could be misremembering though.
I don't think so. Oh good lord! Well, there we are. We'll see. That's if we have.
Yeah, you know the topic better than me.
I've got something to look at this evening. So well, maybe one of the chapters knows.
Yes.
Let's have a look. Is there anything? So would I say E6, Rook D1, obvious? Yeah, I mean, if that's not working, then you're getting on to maybe looking at less obvious stuff, like, for example, I don't know, Rook C1 or yeah, other stuff. But let's have a look at these. Let's have a look at Rook D1 first, because that's really the most natural.
It's actually played. Rook D1 and A3 have been played.
Okay, that God, that's.
Oh, sorry. Rook C4 as well, and then Rook D1 A3.
Okay. Well, let's have a look at that. I don't know 100% about that one, but okay. That's now. To be honest, I do feel that White should have something now. He should have prepared basically a good riposte here. I mean, Knight A2 is one idea here.
Giving up the C2 pawn.
Well, yeah, the problem is that Knight here, I can go probably Queen B3 check at the very least. Point is, this Knight on A2 is covering the B4 square, so I'm not actually in any danger there. And if the king moves out of the way, then I can probably go Knight C3, and I'm sort of nicely covered that way. It's quite tough to get through, you know. So Knight A2. So obviously Rook C2. I can probably go Knight B4. Obviously Queen B4, King C2 is. I'm not getting mated there, am I? No, that's fine. And what I could do is go Rook B2 check, but I'm sort of a little bit. Sort of a little bit hidden away was my feeling about it, but I'm not sure. I'm feeling Rook A2 check. That's got to be dealt with, and of course I've got a few problems with my old piece of Rooney's there, so might not be that easy. And what you could also do, which is quite similar, is to go Knight A2, and then to go Rook check here. And then I'd have King A1. That's maybe slightly less impressive because I mean, I could play a move like Queen B5, hitting E2, go Rook B1, Rook B2. Also not clear this because Queen C1, I can go something like Queen takes E2 there. I'm assuming that these endings are, well, I've got you know, if you get to any king and pawn endings, I've got pawns on A6 and on D5 and A6, which is quite far apart, really. So okay, so Knight A2 is maybe not as clear as all that, because I think that this one is probably quite decent here. You can go Queen D4, but then I just go Queen B3, which looks pretty.
Threatening mates, all sorts of mates.
Already. Yeah, all sorts of mates. Well, actually, is Knight C3 possible here? Crazily enough.
I would think not, but you would want a concrete move.
Because Rook A2, I've got Knight A2, and I'm covering here. Rook B1, I go Rook B1. You know, away, I just go Rook B1.
Rook C2.
Rook B1.
B1. Yeah.
And then Queen D4. Because the point is, of course, Queen there, I take there, so you can't do that. Queen D4.
A2, Queen D3, says Wilsonia.
Wait a minute. So Queen B3 here. A2, you're saying?
Hi, Kingstar. Can we make the board bigger?
No, we can't. I don't think.
Is this analysis? You actually can if it's analysis, I think.
I don't think so.
Let me research in the background. You carry on.
Okay. So, was it A2, Wilson? Yeah. A2. Do we have a? I'm a bit worried. We'll get. A bit worried we'll get sort of hit by something. Because A2. And I can just go something like rook c1. Yeah, no, and then knight d5. I've got e6 coming in as well. Oh, not sure really. Not sure at all. So maybe, wait a minute, knight a2. So this rook c2 to b2, I'm not sure about it. Maybe, would this be then a better alternative? King a2, rook c2, king a, well, king b, unfortunately king here would transpose. Queen b5, queen b4, not looking right. I suppose I was sorry, I was thinking ridiculous of here followed by, no, babe, I'm just massive material down. Rook b2 here. Have I got a better move than queen b4? It's hard to believe. I could go queen b5. But then I was worried about queen a3. Because rook e2 allows rook b1. And the queen e2 allows queen b2. And rook b4 allows knight c3. And rook b3 allows queen b3. I'm a little bit worried about this one. I'm not quite sure. Knight a2. Well, I mean, it's one idea anyway. To stop this. Is there anything else that that we can do? I mean, we really want to get rid of this knight on b4, I think, because or at least do something about a2. I mean, we could just go rook d2. That's possible. But I am slightly concerned in some ways. I mean, there's also the idea of going knight c1 in this position, which is another idea, which might be interesting. Which I'm not 100% sure about. Because rook c3, queen c3, a2, I just go king a1, and that's winning for white. If I go, I was vaguely wondering about going knight c2 and then a2, because obviously knight takes a2, queen here is quite good, but I think we just go knight b3, which is just going to be fine. Now, what I could just okay, and a2 is possible as well, but then I just go knight takes a2, which looks obviously rook c3. Actually, even queen c3 would be all right, but knight c3 is good. What I've got to work out here is whether I have this move d4. I've got, you know, if something's going to work, I'm going to have this move d4 somewhere. But this is the question: is this one going to work? If I go rook d4, what do you have for me, Natasha?
I do, because I was looking at the size of the board. It's definitely possible, because I know mine's bigger than yours, and
oh, right.
Yeah, so you look at all our past streams, and mine's bigger than yours. But okay, let me look at the actual position.
We need your tactical genius here, Natasha.
Yes, okay. Black to play here, presumably.
Yeah. Now, I mean, queen b6 is quite interesting here. We've gone d4. We've brought the rook into forking distance. But I was actually just a little bit worried about rook takes c4 here.
Oh, right. And if we take the queen, you just take the knight.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot of material anyway, you know, and I think that white's going to just end up better there. So d4, rook takes d4. I mean, it's whatever you do, really. You're just going rook c4 takes b4. That's the problem, Rooney. And I don't know.
What if we go a2? You must have looked at that one.
Yeah, I'll go knight takes a2.
And then rook takes c3.
And then knight takes c3.
That doesn't look like much.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I have the feeling that these tactics are not quite working for black. That I mean, knight a2 is very risky, but I think that knight c1, if you can get away with that one, then you're you know, then black's just got nothing here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite apart from the possibility that that after Queen B6 we can just go Rook E4, which might also be true. You know, Rook E4, Queen B6, or Queen E3, Rook E3. So I don't know. I have a feeling that maybe that this has been.
Dear. Okay, so I thought this attack was visually very good, but actually,
it's dangerous.
It's not ending up closer.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether it's a bit overcooked here, because I don't see the way that. Thing is, when this knight comes to C1, you've also got blocks on B3, so stuff along the B file is no longer dangerous anymore. That's the big inconvenience, and I don't know. I don't really know. I can't really think how black's going to do this, and you know, something like this would be the way normally. You know, you get the rook off the first rank so that your A2 checks stuff can come through, and you've got some sort of thing. But yeah, if this sort of thing is working, then you know, it's just going to be a bit of a disaster, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, but hopefully, I'm you know, for Mark's sake, I'm missing something there, and he's going to show us how you know, how the master does it, basically.
Let's check Frederick the mate against checkmate a lot.
Yeah, White went very passive here. White went Queen C1. So yeah, that's maybe King A8 and then G5. Oh, what? G5.
Oh.
All right. Well, I would have thought
that gives black a little bit more chance. Extra move, really.
It definitely gives black some sort of feeling of I might find something here, but it's not going to be.
What about A2 now and take on C2?
Wait a minute. A2, I go king here.
Then we don't take on C2 then.
Queen B6. 93.
All right, hold off A2 for the moment.
Now, well, I mean, I could try here. I mean, you know, the idea would be to go Queen E5, and if you go Queen D2, I go Queen takes D4. You know, that would be
and take on C2. Yeah,
that would be the idea. Only, I think I'm just looking at this one, which is looking distressingly solid. I'm just going to follow up with C3 next move. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a very strange move, this G5. I can't even. It's very hard to understand what the point of it would be. I mean, I guess probably to go E6 maybe and then G6, but it feels incredibly slow. But on the other hand, yeah, it's not really so clear what black is doing. Does black have some sort of plan here? I mean, it's a bit tricky. I mean, sometimes you'd really want to have the pawn on A2, and then in a subline of the same variation, you want to have it back on A3. That's the problem. It's a little bit. It's all a little bit tricky. But this Queen C1 move was a little bit passive, defends C2, but also defends B2. It keeps the black pieces at bay, and then the question is, you know, does black have something to? And black doesn't have that many attacking units. He needs something to throw in to disrupt the white pieces, and all he's got is the D pawn, and I can't make that D4 pawn push work. Might be missing something. I mean, what I could do Oh yeah. Okay. What I could do is go d4. So knight d4, I go rook c3, and we're just praying that that's fine and that nothing, here is happening to me. But I don't think so, because I think this move, yeah. So after d4, rook d4, and now I go queen b6.
Okay, so if rook c4, that looks good. Queen mate.
So yeah, queen b6. So we don't have a check or anything there, and I'm threatening knight d3 checks. I mean, it's quite big. So I presume queen a3 is the move that you play, and then I've got a few ideas. For example, knight c6 check is one. Unfortunately, here you can play queen b3. Which is spectacularly unlucky, really, because takes. I'm attacking a rook, so and you're well. I mean, you're not winning this knight ending. If anything, of course, you're maybe losing. So you don't want to do that. What have you got? Anything any better? Hard to say, really, because yeah. I mean, I'm thinking the best is to go here somehow when you're, but you're a couple of pawns. You're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're a couple of pawns down. So that's not really what you want. Or is there something brilliant? I don't think so. I mean, knight d3 check. I just go king a1, and there's nothing. There's simply nothing to be done there. And if I go knight d5 check, again I go. No, sorry, I go queen b3. That's the. Oh no, that's. Oh, knight d5 check. Is that clever?
Okay, knight d5 check.
The point is here I want to go knight. Well, actually, I've got several ideas. I could just go takes here. Oh god, this is all a little bit confusing. The reason I'm dubbing is that knight c3. If I take there, I can take here, yeah. And that will be well. I'm a bit. I don't know whether this is winning or not. But anyway, it's chances anyway. But what you could do, of course, is to go the old queen f8 check.
Yeah.
And then I'm wondering here whether you're really escaping, because after king there's rook d7 check.
Rook back.
Yeah, but then I'm just exchanging, and you're never going to be, you're never better or anything. The only thing that you could hope for is that you've got some sort of perpetual.
Yeah.
But I can't really escape there. And rook c3, knight c3, queen d4 would be absolutely stunning. But I go, oops, check, king here, and then queen f7, and then I'm going to take on d4.
Pick up the piece. Yeah.
So I get the feeling that this is quite awkward. So g5, d4. Oh yeah, and Edson's played rook takes d4. So Keith's gone for Mark's gone for d4, rook d4. But I don't. Now we need a good follow up from Mark, but I don't see it. I think after queen b6, queen a3. I think that that this is. I think that even this is fine for white, and I don't know whether that's even the best line. I mean, you could even consider a move like rook d6.
Knight c6 check.
Sorry?
Knight c6 check.
Yeah, king a1.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit more. This one's a little bit more. Feels a little bit more risky. But I don't know, because I mean, I haven't got a discovered check at all, because you just take my queen. Yeah, I don't know. It looks I mean, here I just come here basically, and I'm just. It's not over, it's not over, but well, actually, even Queen B8, probably now Queen A3 is even stronger, I think.
Yeah.
There's not even any, there's nothing at all, I don't think. I can just hide on A1. So, yeah, I don't know. This is looking very difficult here. Mark's thinking now after Rook D4, but he needs some inspiration there because, yeah.
Well, let's see Frederick the mate and checkmate a lot.
Yeah, so we thought that checkmate a lot had come out of the opening quite well, and yeah, I think that's probably pretty true still. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So white's a pawn up, but yeah, just an awkward bishop on c2, and you have the feeling really that black is at the very least going to pick up these 2 pawns for this one and be equal, and possibly he's going to pick up the e5 pawn as well, which would leave him a pawn up with opposite colored bishops. So in principle, you're saying that white seems to be doing white's a bit more in the driving seat than black's a bit more in the driving seat than white in this position. But it might just turn out to be nothing special. I mean, that's often happens with these positions, and then it's just equal.
Okay.
Yeah, not this is one of those positions which is where with black, yeah, you're going to have to decide what your appetite for risk is, basically. How risky do you want to do it? Because you've got the safe option takes bishop a3 afterwards, or you could just try and play a move like rook b8, for example, keep your b pawn, and then try and play against the c3 e5. I would imagine that's probably what I'd end up trying to do there. So, but looking a bit better for black, I think, this one.
Yeah.
Tactics Monster. Right. So Tactics Monster has landed a little tactic there, although I'm not.
Yeah. So now what's the tactic? Queen f7 and Queen f8 is the threat.
Indeed. But I think that's quite easy to deal with. He says, well, easy to deal with, but you've got to be a little bit careful. Maybe you should be. Oh, then this is not so. This is quite cunning. So if I go Queen c7.
Yeah, if I go, can we take Queen f8?
Yes, indeed.
No, we don't. Do we?
Yeah, I think we do. Takes on there. So King h8, we've got Rook f8, obviously, and Rook f7. We just go Rook f7. Queen, you don't have a check or anything. Yeah. Queen f7, and then well, whatever, takes, or Knight c5 first. It's up to you. So yeah, so you've got to be a little bit careful about how you deal with this threat. Because Queen d7, we could throw in a Knight c5, which would be rather irritating as well.
Yeah.
So I think we've Queen e8. I think is possible, because after Queen f8 takes Checkaroonie here. I mean, this is not so silly. This, or Knight f4.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's not really, I think, going to be enough. So Queen e8 would be one idea. Another idea would be to play a bit more riskily, but with a move like h6, for example. But it feels a little bit nerve-wracking somehow. I'm not sure about it. I'd need to. Maybe it's not so bad. But you're going to have Rook c1, you see, always in these positions. So just get out of the pin, and so I quite like the idea of going Queen e8 and getting out of the pin first, and assuming that this exchange.
Yeah. He has played h6 actually.
Okay, right. Okay, well, let's throw in a little Queen f7, and I'm guessing King h7 probably. And now we've got a few ideas. Well, I mean, the safer. Is that true? That's quite an interesting. I was going to say I thought this was a safe option that you could just do it, but I suppose black's going to take and check. King here. Well, check here and then here.
We could always give up the queen for the if we wanted to.
Yeah. But this is rather unfortunate. This is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So we can give it up. We
as in queen f1. Yeah.
We have to. Yeah. Takes. How good is this? Well, this could be quite interesting because the king's very active. Oh, and knight gets to b6 though, so probably this is nothing for white. I think we can just keep the pieces at bay here. So probably that's not very much for white. Rook c1.
Yeah.
Unless I'm very much mistaken, but I'm wondering about some other things. For example, knight f4.
Bishop f1.
Knight h5.
I suppose bishop g2.
Bishop g2.
Queen c1.
Queen c1, I play bishop f1.
Oh, I can't take it. All right, fine. Queen g5.
Bishop is protected, of course. The bishop is protected. Queen g5, queen g5, okay, but I played knight f6 and after king g8, queen g8 checkmate. I should have been born a Russian grandmaster, shouldn't I? Really? It's yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is knight f4 very strong.
So all right, knight f4. Queen somewhere. Threatening. Well, I suppose we could just try and defend.
Indeed.
Like queen c7.
So queen c7. I'm maybe going to have knight e6 here.
Threatens mate. So knight e6.
Yeah, then I want to go check.
G6.
You're going G6, are you? And I want to go. I think I'm being ridiculously over subtle here, actually, but doesn't really matter.
Take on f1.
Yeah, and then queen c8. I wanted to try and get it with check, you know, to be incredibly super safe, but it doesn't really matter at all. I've got an extra pawn there, basically, you know, and I don't know. Knight f4 feels very dangerous. What I do wonder about is whether I could go king h8. Because if I go knight f4, you go bishop f1, knight h5, then you go queen d7, and I don't have knight f6 check and queen g8. You know, that's the idea. So it could be that after queen f7 check, king h8 is better.
Okay.
It's just the problem is you just got these queen f8 things which seem vaguely interesting, where you're not sure, you're not 100% sure whether that's going to.
Can we do the rook c1 now?
Yeah. No, I've got it with check. You're absolutely right, Natasha. I come here. Now I come here. And after takes, here, check, there, I take on f8 with check.
Yeah.
That is much better. Yeah, I think then black's in trouble, I think, probably.
Okay, so looking promising for tactic.
I think Tactics Monster after h6. I think Tactics Monster, he's gone queen f7, king h8 has been played. So I think now rook c1 is going to be decent. Yeah, this is going to be a good ending. I mean, I was thinking maybe we go queen b7 here. But I can then simply go, for example, queen takes b7, Rook takes c1, check takes, bishop b7, knight b3, attacking a5, a4, knight c5. And I'm attacking a4 and e6. So, you know, I mean, it's just, at the very least, Black's got some difficult problems to deal with there. So I think that's going to be quite good.
Let's see, Whimsical Jam against Amir Abbas.
Woo! Now, I mentioned, didn't I, that actually that is a good point, actually, because I mentioned that having played h3 gave Black some extra possibilities of putting a knight into h5 and g3. And that's kind of what Amir Abbas has done, actually. That's what he did. So he was quite clever there. If I was looking at one move that I don't like, it's this move knight b3. That's a really passive place for the knight. In general,
you know, he could activate it now, like knight a5 and into c6, maybe. Oh no, he can't, because queen c5 just wins it straight away.
Are you looking at the final position? Are you? Sorry, I wasn't there.
Oh, sorry.
I would have said, you know, just a move like c5. I mean, you just sack those pawns, and then, you know, you just sack a pawn on the. Oops, curses, Matthew. You should know better. Knight b3. So just sack a pawn on here, and then bring the knight in, and keep on going, and you know you'll get a breakthrough that way. But putting the knight on b3, the thing is, it's got not much scope after it's there, you see, and it should be coming on to c4 to really challenge the queen side. So yeah, knight df6, knight h5. This was a little bit awkward. C4, queen b4, a little bit annoying, this move. Very, yeah. Oh God, actually, it's a shocking tactic. Actually, it's is that really?
Or is this just winning something?
It looks like.
Yeah.
Rather shocked with it, I have to say. Is that really, can this really be true? That's what I always say in Blitz. Really, because queen here takes. Rook c1, queen b4.
Now bishop c5.
Yeah, it's just because you got d6 and stuff. I don't know. Probably Whimsical Jam looked at this and didn't see any extra hope compared to the other lines. Not sure though. I mean, d takes c7, for example. So if you go queen there,
yeah, now yeah.
I don't have a discovered attack. This is still quite appalling for white with these weak dark squares.
What about bishop b6? Oh, you've got to check queen b6.
Queen a7, yeah. So all right, okay. So queen b4, bishop c5 played, takes. It's very difficult for white. Big weaknesses on the king side. 2 pieces for the rook, and these knights are really hard to get safe. So I think Whimsical Jam in quite a bit of trouble here against Amir Abbas. This is looking very, very strong for Black. Let's have a look. Mickey Bean. Oh, Bogdan did do it, didn't he? He went. Oh, not quite. No. He went bishop g4, f3. Wow, he played the move knight a5, which was an odd one indeed. But the idea is very clever. The idea is after. Well, Mickey took on d8. Oh, sorry, I'm terribly sorry. Mickey took on d8, bishop e2, played bishop e6. That was the idea. But and Black gets the
that structure we were looking at before.
Gets that structure, but he gives up his he gets the white knight for it rather than the bishop. Interesting. He's probably confident that he's going to get the bishop afterwards, so he sort of makes some consolidating moves, then takes that one back. Rook c7. chases him away. B5. I mean, Mickey's definitely got a slight advantage. The question is it anything serious? I would tend to think not particularly, to be honest. I tend to think that Bogdan's, sort of doing a decent job here of keeping his position together. But I mean, I would much rather be. I'd rather be white. I mean, that's definitely true. So, but it's just. I mean, your natural plan to play with white. I mean, this is a bit annoying, this pawn on g4, because normally white would have lovely mobility and be able to attack you on both sides, but here this pawn interferes.
So maybe just go g5 now.
Well, that is a possibility. That's definitely one idea, to do this and go.
And then rook g4.
And then rook g4. That sort of thing is possible. The only thing I'm a bit worried about is when I go rook g5, am I going to get a hit with b4 counterplay? So I don't know whether it's the right moment to do it. But what is Bogdan going to do? Is Bogdan going to play knight b6 and try and get some counterplay that way? He might well do. Oh, pardon me, knight b6 and then knight d5 afterwards. Not easy at all. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure about this. I don't think it's that much for white at all. I'm not really sure that that this whole maneuver, rook d6 to b6 to b4, has really helped white that much, really. So, yeah, I think Mickey's going to need. Oh, good lord! Mark Hebden has.
Oh no!
It did end up as a win for Mark for his opponent.
Well
played Edison.
Edison. Yeah.
A2 takes, queen e5 was played, but yeah, then there was this trick that we saw with queen d4 and knight c2. But white just played knight c2, and yeah, it's just too good, really. It's all finished, no counterplay at all. So yeah, hard luck, Mark, hard luck, but very well played, Edison.
What does Mark always say? Mark always says if you lose, Mark says, we will rebuild him. We will rebuild him.
It's true, yeah.
We will rebuild him.
Indeed. And he always comes back. Mark always comes back. That's one of his great strengths as a chess player. Board 2, Keith Arkle against Yichin Han. This is not looking good. White is now 2 pawns up in a double rook ending. So, and obviously many threats against the black king. Isn't rook a? I don't know. I'm not quite sure. There's quite a few ways of playing, I think, but rook a5, for example, looks quite strong. And I'm not really sure how you're covering all that. I mean, rook a7 is obviously a very tempting move as well. Rook g4 is also very tempting as well. So, looking very, very good for Keith. Yeah, I mean, if Bogdan keeps on solid against Mickey, Keith is going to be in the lead if he wins this game.
Yes,
so,
that's true. That's true.
Gil Gerasimos Giatos against Diamonaut.
Yes.
Diamonaut forever. Yeah, that's what's in my head all the time. Diamonds are forever, the James Bond. Knight g3 played. Knight g3. Slightly strange move, maybe. Just feels odd I always find it odd when you willingly ruin your pawn structure. Really, it might be a decent move because e5 is weak, but it would have been the first move I would have thought of. In principle, White's got a very nice position here, beautifully entrenched on the light squares and a weak pawn to aim at. But yeah, we'll see how that works out. Nut flush against.
Yes, I was going to just suggest that one against Johnny Payne.
Well, looks like Nut flush has got a very good position here because a rook e7 check here is possible. And then we'll follow up with rook takes e4, and we'll have the black king trapped on the back rank, and we'll have 2 pass pawns on the queen side. So I would say that white is just winning here.
Yes.
We've got Drunken Knights against Phil Brooks. So yeah, this position is pleasant for white in principle. We've got a nice bishop attacking the pawn. No, we're not going to do that. This bishop is a little bit passive. Got some control of the b file, etc. But black is very solid, and it isn't actually clear how white is going to get through here. And if white doesn't get through, then black can swap off the queens, have a knight on d5, and before you know it, black's actually not doing badly at all. So in principle, I do think that white should be nicely better here, but it's not so easy to see how it's all going to happen exactly. But I mean, that was with the bishop on a8. There's a very famous Karpov against Luthier game where black got this sort of structure, but with the bishop on a8, and Karpov just totally tied black up completely, and well, it was a horrific experience for Joel in the end. But bishop on a6 is a bit more active. So the only thing, of course, is that after a move like queen takes e5, d, knight d5, we can play knight e4 into d6. So there's yeah, it's quite interesting position. It's not easy at all for both sides to judge this right. Yeah, and it's also from the black point of view, white's got quite a few weaknesses too. So yeah, it's one of those positions where you say, okay, I've got to defend, but I could easily emerge with a positional advantage. It's that sort of thing as well. So yeah, what could I think of here? I was just thinking of stupid stuff, actually. I was thinking of going queen c7, rook c7, rook e6, and forking, and then trying to get this c pawn afterwards. But I would have thought that there's probably multiple refutations of that. Maybe we just need to play a really good... What we need here is a really good prophylactic move. I mean, a move that anticipates all of black's possible ideas and just consolidates it.
Okay, so... Well, black's ideas are taking, and knight d5, and...
Yeah, knight d5 or knight d7, I suppose.
Or rook d5. Oh no, not rook d5. Knight d5, knight d7. So we can't stop all those though?
No, we can't stop them, but we can be prepared for them so that we've then got a good answer to them. That's the
yeah. Well, most of them rely on that queen being on e5, so we could move our queen.
We certainly could. We certainly could, which might be a very good idea. Just h6 is annoying me. I would have not wanted. Just going to go h6 probably. I mean, I could move my queen back, and we come here maybe. Possible. Maybe we do need to have a little bit, because I don't really see any advantage for white somehow by keeping the pieces like that. I was thinking of rook b3, all sorts of rook c1, even subtle things like that, but I'm not very sure. I mean, I could rook c1. That all looks so unbelievably over subtle. Maybe moving the queen back. Maybe it's not such a big advantage to white. That's also possibly quite true. Frederick the Mate against so Checkmate Lot has kept hold of the pawn on c4, not recapturing the c3 and a3 yet, trusting that that'll happen eventually. Hey, Sanjit.
Nice, Sanjit.
Yeah, he's just keeping on playing. yeah, in principle, I still prefer black here. I think it's much more awkward for white to play than black. But yeah, I mean, still white still sort of keeping some sort of balance somehow. Tactic Monster, he's played our line. Did you see that? So
no, let's see.
Rook C1 played.
Oh gosh, yes.
Chopperoonie, Bishop F1, and then the key point being that there's check. So
Tactic Monster now needs to make sure he doesn't lose his queen this go.
That would be indeed good. The question is whether this is a win or not for white. I mean, it's not very clear really, because black's got a very nice, spot on F5 for the bishop that he can then reinforce with H5 afterwards, and he's got threats of Rook C1 takes Rook C2 takes B2. So
yeah,
wouldn't amaze me if this was actually just a
yeah. Because someone was saying, I can't remember now who I was commentating with the other day. I don't think it was you, who said about the queen. If you've got the queen for pieces, then the queen is really good. If the other pieces are loose and the king's loose and there's lots of checks around and all that sort of thing. Yeah. But here it's not like that at all, because you can't check anything, and those pieces can easily get to where they can be defended. So,
yeah, no, I think black's absolutely fine here. In actual fact, that would be my guess. I don't think that white can really do that much,
because black could check on C2 and take and stuff.
Actually, what I'm thinking of is just to in this position, we'll go check on C2 takes. Then we'll take on H2 first of all.
Okay. Yeah.
And then after queen here, I'll just go rook here.
Wait, I'll look on your screen.
And then at the very least, I'll go H5 and Bishop G4, and I'm just so solid that you'll never move me. I mean, I don't think black's not worse at all here. I don't think so. Nutflush has beaten McCarthy Stone. So well played, Paul Dargan. Well played, B22. You might well see him in the stream later, but
he's going to be in the chat in a minute, I'm sure.
Yeah, very good game from against a very tough.
Yeah, because it looked like Johnny Payne was very comfortable with the opening, we thought.
Indeed, yeah, and maybe Paul Dargan less, but looked excellent, well played. So he's Nutflush is in a great position there as well. Have we seen actually Gunslinger?
There was another one with an unbalanced ending that I thought might be interesting, which is Dandy Tastic 117.
Okay.
Reina Jithendra against Jonathan Mackay. And it's like the bishop of the exchange, but a few pawns.
Dandy Tastic?
Yeah, Dandy Tastic's black.
Yeah, but what's his username?
The username's Dandy Tastic 117.
Yeah, 117. That's one no. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Should be a draw, really, I guess. So yeah, this is going to end up as a draw. This one, it's the rook will somehow get at the H pawn and force that to be exchanged, and then it'll this is going to end up as a draw.
Okay,
that's we haven't seen Gunslinger, have we? That's the
Gunslinger, yes, and Ferrari fan. Bishop ending.
2-2. Where are you? Okay. Well, this is very good for Gunslinger. This is completely winning. We just bring our bishop round to F8, and or even round to E3 and go B4. So yeah, this is just completely won now. You can't really avoid white winning another pawn now on C5. So bishop B3 coming in, and then after king D6, B4, and the bishop's pinned there. So looking like Gunslinger is going to add up another point there. So
yes,
pretty good stuff there.
Which will take him to 4.
Exactly. Let's have a look. Is there anyone else that we haven't seen there? I don't think so. I think we've got pretty much everyone. Let's have a look. So
Duel against Diamond recently.
We'll have a little look. This one's looking just like a draw. I don't Bogdan's a good solid player. He's not going to lose this. So, or yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd be very surprised if he did. Mickey's looking to go knight f2 round to d3 to cover this pawn. So it would be amazing if you could discover a concrete resource to stop that. I don't know whether there is one. Probably not. You're always looking for stuff like knight b6, and then you move away, and then can the b pawn be defended? But not really. Probably not really good enough. Knight b8 to c6 is a natural way to play. Yeah, okay. No, Mickey's still got a slight edge here. He can still move around and grind a little bit. But yeah, I would say odds on for a draw, really. But we're going to see. It's Mickey. It's not just anyone. So yeah. We'll see how that goes. I mean, I kind of fancy trying to get some counterplay on the c file somehow. Maybe after knight b8 to go rook here. That's what I sort of fancy, but I don't know whether it's possible or not. We're going to see. We're going to see. That's
oh, really? YW37 against Slow Sloth 26 is getting exciting.
Wowsies. That's a lot of pieces for black, though. So,
yeah, the king's a bit stuck, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Queen h6 is the threat. That's what White's sort of living for. So you've got a little bit, probably repeat a little bit, maybe go knight f4, check back again. And then we'd really want to have a good, after knight f4, because knight f4 check feels quite reasonable. I mean, in all fairness, you could just play, you could just play the move h5 here, you know, and then after g takes h5, your king's safe because it's because you've got a white pawn in the way. That might be a reasonable way of playing. I suppose what you could also try and do is maybe just something like...
Right. Oh, no. What about... What about bishop e3?
Yeah,
this isn't going to work. I know it's not going to work.
I was thinking of you know, of taking really when that happens, and or maybe throwing in knight e2 check first, and then afterwards taking on e3.
I'm trying to get it so the queen can take on h5.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm not sure. h5, bishop e3. What was I thinking of? I was thinking of going...
Oh, you could just throw an h4. Yeah, don't worry, it's not going to work.
h4. I mean, not clear. I mean, I haven't calculated it 100%, but it feels like no, rook e3, knight f5 check. Maybe that would be annoying, but maybe I could just go. I was thinking rook e3 takes, and then maybe h4 check here, because knight h4 now I've got queen e3 check. So I'm guessing that you can have to go king f3, and then I'm hoping that I've got something. h3 maybe. Not sure. And there's always fighting chances there. So you know, that's. But in principle, looking quite good. Frederick the Mate has drawn with checkmate a lot.
Okay.
So bishop e2, bishop f3. Yeah.
Good result for both players.
I guess, yes, that's true. Sort of, yeah, I wonder whether black still had a little something, but white defended very well there, so well played both players. Draw there. Keith Arkell has beaten Peshka the Great.
Yeah, rook ending was looking good, yeah.
Yeah, so in classic style, if ever you do another another two, if ever we do another chess for life, then update
another 2 chapters on Keith, or maybe 4 if we double up.
Indeed, because we've looked at rook and pawn, haven't we? But we could look at double rook and pawn as well. So,
we could, well, yeah, needs to be done.
So nice. Yeah, very well played, Keith. And looks like Keith is going into the lead. Diamond against Gil against Diamond. So this has opened up quite a bit. Yeah, White has an initiative, but well, for Black, it's just a question: can Black survive this? Because if Black survives this, then it might not be so bad. Because well, at least your pawn structure isn't so bad. But the big problem is that Diamond is under attack, and he hasn't got that much time either. So we've got a few issues there. Queen e4 check, obvious. I'm guessing King g7 quickly from Diamond. And now we need something. Can't take on h5 because d1 check. Could play. I mean, we could, grabbing a pawn is vaguely.
What about just like a3 or something, just to then.
Yeah, I was thinking b3 in actual fact, which I think probably was, I think this would be a good strong move. I think. I think that maybe the reason why I was worried was this move rook e8. That's the only thing I could think of. And then you're maybe getting pinned, but maybe that's not so bad. I go rook e1, and but here White's gone for the win of the pawn, which is well, but it's not going to be winning. Is I think we can just go bishop g6 here. Oh, rook e8. Okay, I think bishop g6 was quite decent, to be honest. If queen e5 check, I take rook d2. I'm not going to lose that with Black by any means. But rook e8 is maybe even more ambitious. Yeah, it probably is even more ambitious here because you're stopping the knight getting back to e5. So
Queen d4 then.
Queen d4 will go king h7.
And then I still think we have to give our king a square. Oh no, but our knight's on freeze now.
Yeah,
no good.
Yeah. The bishop would be on freeze after, but
on freeze as well.
Then I'll get. Well, no, maybe you could just go b3 here. But I think I'm just going to go bishop g6. That's what's worrying me a little bit.
Hi, checkmate a lot. You were winning a piece, were you? We didn't notice that.
We thought you had good pressure somehow. But I don't think we saw that specific moment. But we thought that your position was always a lot more promising there. But I'm getting a bit nervous about this now. I mean, got queen c2s and stuff coming in. Maybe knight b4 and then knight d5 f6. A sharp one, but
because look, if knight b4, can't Black go rook e4?
Or rook e4. It's not mate when I take on b4. So
yeah.
I mean, maybe rook e2 is easier somehow, and
yeah.
Wow. You feel that Black's going to have quite a few chances in there along the way. So going to be interesting, that one between Gil and Diamond. Queen f6 played. Wowsies. Queen f6.
Okay.
There are all sorts of moves. Queen g3. Queen g3, for example, feels quite interesting. G6. I don't know. Could go either way. This one, I think it's really White's. Yeah, Queen G3 played by Diamond. So very interesting. Oh yeah, White removed the bishop from the rook. Yeah, I think Black here is gradually reaching some sort of decent equilibrium. I think. Probably expect this one to end in a draw eventually. Tactic Monster against SV2701. So a bit of cunning there from White, trying to Yeah, trying to get to the E7 pawn. That's quite quite nice what he's done actually. Black played my move, Queen H2, and Tactic Monster was nice and sharp with the old Queen H4, Rook H1, and G4. And what is White aiming to do? Well, probably G5 is the idea. And you might think I could play Bishop G2, but after Bishop G2, White's going Queen E7, and then this E6 pawn is undefendable. So this has been a very cunning idea from Tactic Monster. Now, the only thing I'm wondering about,
oh, G5.
Well,
I think that would make king weak, don't you? How about Queen F2? Queen F7. It's good for a draw anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you could check, 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 and then take that, but it's a bit risky.
Yeah. Okay, so Queen H5 instead.
Yeah, Queen H5, and then I go King G7.
And then we don't want to leave our queen there forever, so I suppose Queen E8.
Yeah, then I take Bishop G4 again.
It's still the same.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I could go Queen G3. What am I threatening? I want to go Queen F3. That's what I want to do. That's a good idea. Queen G3 threatening Queen F3.
Okay. Bishop F1.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just trying for tricks.
Yeah, this is actually you've been sort of tricked yourself there, I think, because I'm going to go. I'm going to win this E6 pawn. So it's a very sneaky idea from Tactic Monster. Maybe the best would be to go something like King G8, so that after G5 you can just take and everything gets reestablished. But it's a very clever idea. Well, actually, after King G8, maybe we go Queen H5 again. Maybe we go King F8 there. That might be best. I don't know whether. Oh, Queen G6. Queen G6. Oh, just a very clever idea. Very nice spot from Tactic Monster. So yeah, again playing very strongly. Oh, Drunken Knight has drawn this position, so we thought that this was getting quite equal. And Whimsical Jam, Theo has lost to Amir Abbas there, so it was a very difficult position we saw, and yeah, that has gone. Let me just clear a few analysis boards because we've got way too many of them. There we are.
We've got an ending. We have a game we haven't seen at all yet, which is Testarossa against Shavs 7.
Oh, okay. It's Shavs _7, isn't it?
Yes.
I think. Back. Ooh, that's nasty for black. This one.
Hellraise.
The resolution of a mystery. Oh, you want
the opening was weird. Okay, Theo's opening was weird. Why was Theo's opening weird, Hellraise?
Oh, he prepared for black, not white. Oh dear.
I've done that before. I've done that before. He prepared for black, not white. Yes, it's yeah. In fact, lots of people have done that. But I remember that. I actually remember one Hastings, and Peter Wells came into the playing hall in a complete flap and realized that he'd prepared for the wrong color. But I think he did fine. But it throws you off, doesn't it?
No, definitely. Oh, hard luck. Well, it's it can happen. It can happen. It all gets very confusing when you're playing so many games all the time. So this is horrible for black, really. I think you've got Yeah,
Sonia's done it before
everyone's
as
done
well.
it before.
Yeah.
I've done it before. I've done it before as well. It's whoa.
Careful of the checkmates. What is it, 95?
Yeah, it's probably all fine, but it just makes me a bit nervous.
So okay, 95.
Yeah, I'll probably go King F5 then, and
Rook F3.
and it's
Are you going to try and checkmate? You're going to try and checkmate.
Yeah, I'm going to try and checkmate you. I think this position is not very nice for black at all, because the pawn on F6, just makes it so difficult, really. Yeah, I think King F5 here is probably a pretty decent idea here. Yeah, Knight D4 is also fine. Yeah.
Then you go Rook D3. Oh, it's not all not working still because Knight E6 is a threat.
Well, yeah, although with Knight E6 you are sort of closing your escape route to via E6. So and King G8's cunning. Black's definitely fighting with all his
Fine
cunning.
for it, yeah.
King F5 I think would be decent here, because if you go Knight takes F3, I think I just take on F3 and go King G6, which is really unpleasant. So I think that would be quite so. Yeah, looks like White's doing very well there, but
and just preps the wrong person.
Yes, I saw that. Tricks to be overcome.
Yeah.
Bogdan has managed to liquidate the A pawns. So we've got Rook and 4 and Knight and 4 versus Rook and 4. Yeah, I mean, White's got a small edge because we've got this weak pawn on the E5, but it's very, very little, and I'd really expect Bogdan to draw this. We've seen that YW37 has lost a slow sloth. We saw this one, and almost an attack, but not quite. So well played, Black.
Well done, slow sloth.
Hard luck, White. Gunslinger. That hasn't turned out quite as clear as you would have expected, but this should still be winning, I would have thought. So this is winning for Black. Looks like Jonathan Mackay is going to pick up a point here. You'll still you still get in front of the pawn, basically, so that's going to work. Tactic Monster, yeah, indeed, this has worked out. He's going to take the pawn on E6. It's still not finished yet, but a giant step there to turning this position into a win. Very nice play.
Okay.
Very nice play indeed. I suppose what we're looking at now, the next challenge is going to be that we play Queen E6, we get a rook check, so we can't go here because of Rook F3, or indeed G5. So we get King somewhere, and then we get a check. Let's say here, and then we're going to take on here, which is again extremely unclear.
This is dangerous, isn't it? Couldn't Black be doing well here?
Yeah. Yeah, especially with the king on F1. But I'm just wondering that are you able to? You're just not able to escape. I don't. Well, maybe I can come here. I could come here and here. Okay, that's probably the best way to do it. We've got an E pawn, remember? So queen here.
And then you got at least a draw, right? Rook G2.
King H3.
Okay.
But I've got a bishop G6, which is rather annoying.
Yeah.
So should I be playing I mean, Queen F7 feels natural, but should I be playing it there? Maybe I should be playing here in actual fact. Takes E6. B3, E7. That's probably going to be quite annoying, I think. Probably. So, but what I could do is I could just go E6, Rook E2, and then meet E7 with Bishop G6.
Yeah. And then push the queenside pawns.
Yeah, I mean, I take on d5, takes, b3 or rook b7. Black's not worse at all. So it's, yeah. Well, there we are. It's we're going to see. It's going, great fighting spirit from all sides, and yeah, we're going to see how it ends up. Very thrilling indeed. You could maybe throw in a g5 at some stage just to try and open up the king. Maybe that might be useful. Have a look at Mickey Adams against B unit. Bogdan's going to draw this. He's bringing his knight round to f7, I think, at some stage. So Mickey looking to play, but I think you could draw this with the rooks off, but maybe that would be a little bit risky. Rook b3 is probably better, I think. Just keep it all. The thing you've got to watch out for is knight c5 to d7. That's the somewhat the thing you've got to worry about. Not over yet, but Bogdan doing a good job, but down to 52 seconds. So yeah, this is why Mickey's Mickey's going to be dangerous in this situation, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, again, could hold it, Bogdan. So, oh, good Lord, what's happened here?
Oh gosh.
I think Diamond Norton is time trouble. He's just lost here, I think. Knight attacking the bishop on e4, queen coming into f8. It's completely gone here, I'm afraid. So presumably in time trouble that all went wrong. Gunslinger Ferrari fan. It's not as easy as you might think, this one. It looked absolutely trivial before, but not clear. But well, with the pawn on h4 here as well, we've got all sorts of targets. It should just be it should
wrong color rook's pawn.
It's going to be, well, yeah, but black's not playing for the win, and white's playing for the win, so it's the right colors.
Right color rook's pawn.
So yeah, I guess bishop f2 will be a good move, and then move the king in b6. That should all work. What have we got? Yeah, this is just going to be a win for Jonathan Mackay. Oh, well, look at that. I think White got a bit, White got a bit nervous of the old threats against the f3 pawn and swapped off, and now Black swapped off. Yeah, I mean, there are still chances for White here in principle, because we've got this weak pawn on h6 to target, but yeah, I would probably say that the way that the game's going, we're more likely odds on for a draw here, because yeah, king g6 can be played, and then maybe just h5. So wow, big escape for Black there.
Yeah.
Tactic Monster, yeah, we're following our line. Rook h3, king over to h3, rook b2, and now we need something for White. Oh, that's what we're going to do. We're going to play queen a6. That's what we're going to do.
Okay.
Rook a2.
Yeah. e6.
And then e6.
Okay.
I'm covering e2, and I'm covering bishop g6.
Right, rook a3.
Yeah, that's the problem. King there.
And then
yeah, bishop g6 or something. No, that's not going to work. Not so clever. Not so clever. Maybe we should be going g5.
We probably better try it.
Yeah, just to open up. I mean, because I think you've got a. Well, you could go h5, I suppose. But it feels like I could go g6 then and get this d5 pawn early. Oh, that would be quite good, wouldn't it? So maybe you'd go king h6 then, but then maybe I can maybe come here or something.
Bishop g6.
Yeah, I want to go check.
Yeah, bishop h7.
Yeah. E6 maybe. You got rook e2 afterwards. Oh, it's a bit tough, this one. I don't know really. I'm not even finding equality for white, which is worrying me somewhat. I suppose what I could do is go g5, and if you go h5, then I go queen f7. And if you go bishop g6, then I've got queen d5, and I'm covering a2 even. So that will be good. So after, yeah, I don't think you really want me to allow me to go gh really, although who knows how good is that? I mean, if I go rook a2, I could go g6 check and queen takes, but that looks a little bit odd. So I could maybe take here, but then I could maybe go rook g2 here.
Oh, really? Way too bad. I'm so
bad.
sorry. Your last one. You had an exciting game there.
Tough. Yes, Dandy-tastic has won. Well played. Black, hard luck white. Gil has beaten Diamond there, indeed. That we saw that. That was going to be well played. Gil, hard luck Diamond.
Really way too bad. What Dave Norwood said to me was, Rome wasn't built in a day. You've got time. You build it up. Rome wasn't built in a day.
All right. So Bogdan getting active here, but does Mickey have rook c5 here now? Does Mickey have rook c5 here? Hitting e5 and the knight on b5. Well, I think the answer is he certainly does. The question is whether Black has got some clever way to exploit this to relieve the pressure. I mean, you could go knight d4 or something. And after knight e5, rook c2. I mean, I think it is worth exchanging off the rooks if you can, because just Black's king now, in this particular position, Black's king seems to be a little bit vulnerable, and I'm a bit worried of what will happen with the rooks on. But yeah, okay. Bogdan went rook. Okay, knight takes c5 has been played. Knight e2 from Bogdan. Well, Mickey has got a pawn. So,
gosh, I think he can win this.
Still away, still a long way to go, I think. But it's Mickey. He's got more time, and he's got the extra pawn. So
he will certainly try. Yeah,
he's certainly not going to make it easy for you. And there are tricks in here because the Black king is rather vulnerable. But yeah, I mean, in principle, I'd still say a draw is kind of odds on. But who knows? Can Mickey discover some difficult tricks? Yeah, knight d3, stopping knight f4 was the obvious move. Sort of wondering about rook d2 in this position. Knight g3 played. Okay. Maybe rook d2 now? Knight e2. All right. So, well, if Mickey wants to carry on with the game, he's going to go to, I guess, going to h2. Going to h2, or is he going to h1 even? I'm not quite sure what the difference would be.
Yeah.
And then maybe rook d2 then afterwards. Is that going to be the idea? That might be the idea. Yeah. King h2, rook d2. That is maybe not so easy for white.
Yeah, because where do we put our knight? We're going around to b4.
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, after king h2, rook d2. I mean, we're going knight f4 basically. Which is could be quite difficult. I could go e5 check. I was wondering about king g5 and then knight f2. Knight f4. King g3. Maybe. We're getting quite subtle. It's really on the limit. You know, you could also just mess up a little bit. But Mickey's gone king h2, rook d2. Play.
Tactic Master is getting exciting as well again.
Oh, let's have a look at that one. Indeed.
Whoa! You could just go b2.
No. Oh yeah.
And give up the rook. E3. Well, I don't know whether you can or not.
Yeah, you can. You can. Oh, rook was hanging in my analysis. Whoops, sorry. I'm getting a bit tired now. Yeah, no, I think b2 is a good move there actually, but probably yeah, just b2. I mean, e7, e8 will get mated, and if b1, if e7, b1 takes, we cover, and queen e2, b1, e7. Well, we're just going to be able to do that somehow. I mean, probably what we do is here. Well, yeah, okay, there's loads. I mean, queen b8, whatever. I was looking at check there and g5, setting up queen h4.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's really no need. I mean, it looks amazing, absolutely amazing. What a game! Credit to both players there, but yeah, quite an amazing game there.
Well, we were saying the queen might not be good against the two pieces, weren't we?
Yeah, we wondered a bit. I mean, it was an incredibly clever idea from a Tactic Monster, what he did, but yeah, it just looks like just the way that it worked out. I mean, that was very difficult to see, really. So
of course, White could have got a draw. You know, like if he wasn't playing for the win there, when he had the queen, he could have done a perpetual. I think there was a point.
Yeah, exactly. This is Mickey against B Unit. Sure. Oh, it's all difficult, but well, Mickey's persevering here. So knight takes f3 check is the threat. King g3, of course, allows knight e2, so we don't want that. Knight f4 played. So yeah, this is all about it. Just keep on going. Don't give your opponent a clear way. Ooh, a clear way to get free. And Lord knows, maybe your reward will come. This is probably not a bad move at all from Bogdan, I think. After knight h5 check, we're not going to go to g6. We're going to go to e5. And White's pieces are... I mean, White's really struggling there to get anything done, really. I think this is...
So should White go knight? You can't go knight e3 because of rook, knight f3.
Yeah, knight d3, knight f3. So I think you've probably got to go... You could go rook d3, but actually knight takes f3 check would also be decent against that. Knight h5 check, we'll go king e5, not king g6 because we get maybe mated, but king e5, and it's gone to h3. Okay. Yeah, it's not exactly glorious, really, is it? King e5 from Bogdan. Yeah, why not? Not quite sure, and not really sure. In some ways, it's not really clear what you should do with black. So you know, let's just move our king. Rook a3 out of the way of any stuff. Maybe you should just go king f6 or something, and just wait and see what what White's plan is, because I'm not sure you've really got. You can have thoughts like going knight c2 to e1 and all that, but then White pins you with rook a2 and rook b2, and that's not a bad idea actually. Threatening knight c2 to e1 probably. That's probably quite a decent one. So I can't imagine that Mickey's going to make anything of this.
Because it's hard. How do you get this knight, the white knight, active?
Yeah, I mean, so he's got his rook to d3, which is a minor, which is an achievement in some ways, but I think Bogdan just goes rook c2, and I can't imagine anything happening here. Knight e2, possible too. I mean, there are just many moves now, So a Tactic Monster lost indeed to SV2701. Hard luck, Tactic Monster. Well played, SV2701, and a fantastic.
We could do a brief pop in on Tester Rose here against Shavs. It's knight against two pawns, but I think the pawns will make it.
Pawns are winning.
Yeah.
Stop those. So knight c7, f7, and so well played, Adam Sikowski. Got there. A Gunslinger has beaten Ferrari's hand. We thought that would happen. Thought it was going to be easier, but White made it. So points there, and now we're remaining with the top board.
Okay, so Mickey's potentially building a way for his knight to come out.
It's true. Oh, dear me. Oh,
because he could go rook f2 next, couldn't he?
Indeed. Ta-da! Yeah. No.
That's a small victory, isn't it? That's pretty good.
It's a small victory.
Because now the king can go to g3 at once, and the knight come around.
Yeah. No, you're starting to look to push black back now. I was thinking rook takes f2 would be the best. King there. Probably play knight e2. Oh yeah, he should have gone knight e2. Bogdan should have gone knight e2. That would have been cleverer.
Because the king comes out now.
Yeah, because then White has to go g3 to get the king free, or has to do something stupid with his knight, and he's just a little bit quicker there. But okay, it shouldn't be.
So now king e1.
Whoa! That's not good.
Bogdan's knight can't come out.
Is he going h5 now? That might be, I guess, h5 now.
This is winning chances again, right?
Yeah. Knight and 3 versus knight and 2 is not trivial, never trivial. So what's Bogdan doing? He's coming here. All right. This is probably fine. It's probably fine. That knight is actually quite hard to trap. So it is probably still fine. King d2.
Hi, Gunslinger.
Hey, Gunslinger, well played. So King d2, King d4. Yeah, no, Bogdan stood on it. I think just a tiny moment of inattention there, but I think I think what he's done is all right. It's very hard. Yeah, but knight h3 and then king f2. I'd just go knight h1 check. I think. I don't think we're managing to trap that knight. I just go knight h1 check and then come back after to g3. So knight d3. So king d4. I think from Bogdan. Yeah. Even knight takes e4 starts looking tempting now.
Interesting.
Because I'm just going to king e3. Why not? Knight c6. So where's Mickey's coming around d8? Okay.
I'm going to try and take the e pawn.
Yeah. but h5 is well timed. Knight takes. Yeah, we're going to have knight f4. We'll have g4.
Well, knight e5 from Mickey, maybe.
Yeah, that's probably a decent idea, indeed. I guess I'll go king f4 now. And if knight g6, I'll go king e3, probably.
Yeah.
Knight f4 could also be possible. Not impossible, that one. Never easy though. Yeah, king f4 feels quite decent. Because if you go knight g4, then I go knight g3, and then I'm just threatening to take on e4. So knight f6, that's pretty decent as well. Yeah, of course. Threatening g4 again. Yeah, Bogdan's a very solid player. So very, he's this sort of position that he would really think he's going to be fine. Knight c4 will probably play king d4. I think would be the natural move here, because we're going to get in g4 next afterwards. So yeah, king d4 is just a good move there. King d3 even. Yeah, that is also completely fine, I think, as well.
You can't do something like e5.
Well, you can, but yeah, it's just going to be on. I can go knight d7, for example, and then you can't even protect it anymore. It's just that, yeah, we just start whittling down the pawns. You know, black's king and knight is very, very active there. So, you know, it's just not really.
So it looks like a draw then.
It looks like a draw. I think odds on for a draw here again. Looks like Bogdan. Mickey's tried very hard, but it looks like Bogdan has resisted beautifully. In fact, you know, and that would actually mean that that Keith would have the sole lead on 5.
The lead. Has Keith played Bogdan yet? I don't think they have.
No, not yet. Not yet.
So then they would play, I guess.
Indeed. If you're looking at Keith, it's gone quite well, because Mickey's drawn with Keith, Peshka the Great, and Bogdan, and Keith has drawn with Mickey, but beaten Peshka the Great. So in terms of you know, strong opponents, Keith actually a little bit ahead there. So
well, except that Mickey's played Bogdan and Keith hasn't.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. But
because how do they do against each other, Bogdan and Keith? They must have played before.
Oh, quite a bit, I think. I think there are quite a few draws, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
So G4 now, I think probably would be a decent move here. If e5, I go knight d7. Okay, Mickey's going for it. I was wondering about this line a little bit, but you would. I mean, it's the sort of thing where you say, but this must be fine for black.
Yeah, at least this time, if they go knight d7, you can go f4.
That's right. So then I go king e3. You can go g3, but then I move my knight somewhere, and I've just got no idea. Actually, okay, FG.
Oh, we didn't predict that one.
Yeah. But I think Mickey might.
Now, is it?
You could easily end up worse if you go f4. But king e, okay, this is fine now. King e3, I guess, from Bogdan on knight g6. That's very solid. Yeah. Just going to go king e3. Yeah, king e3 now is the most sensible. Yeah. Yeah, and we've just got e5, e4. It's just it's just drawn. So e5 now is a good move. King g1, e4. GM Mickey Adams off to draw there. So,
it's going to be a draw.
Excellent. Well fought.
All right. So very close at the top. And
indeed. If we have a look at the results. So Michael Adams draws with Bogdan Lalic. Keith Arkle takes the lead with 5 points by beating Yichin Han. Gerasimos Giakos comes up to 4.5, as does Paul Dargan, Nutflash. Then afterwards, on 4 points, we've got Jonathan Blackburn. Obviously, we've got Yichin Han as well. Then afterwards, we're getting on to 3.5. So Chris Duncan, Phil Brooks, Edison Xu, who beat Jem Mark Hebden today. Verma Schlock, who won that thrilling game against Arjun Kulani. Amir Abbas, who won a good game against Teo Cowrie. And then afterwards, we're getting a little bit lower on 3 with Adam Sikorsky, Jonathan Mackay. So, lot of, I'm sure a lot of good games, tomorrow, but very exciting.
So we would expect Bogdan White against Keith on top board, I think.
I'm not sure because there's quite a few on 4.5. There's Paul Dargan and also Gerasimos as well. So I don't know. Yeah,
you're right.
I have no idea, but it's not a forced pairing.
Maybe not. Yeah,
it's not a forced pairing. It'll all depend on who's played who, and I'm not quite sure how that's worked.
He's played Paul, hasn't he?
Yeah, he drew with Paul. That's right.
But has he played? He probably hasn't played
Gerasimos.
So
we'll see. We'll see how all that goes. But okay, that's it. Basically, thanks very much indeed. That's thrilling games, and let's hope that we get some thrilling games tomorrow.
Yes, and just to say, tomorrow the schedule is for streaming. There's John Ems and Chris Ward at 1 o'clock to cover the Women's Championship, and that'll be round 4 of the women's tomorrow. And then Matthew and I are back in the evening to cover the next thrilling round of the Open. So hopefully see you then, and thanks everybody for watching.